There have been powerful calls for racial justice at the funeral of George Floyd, whose killing by police sparked anti-racism protests around the world. The UN warns that anti-coronavirus measures in North Korea are making food shortages and economic hardship even worse. Getting things moving again in Moscow. The Russian capital has loosened lockdown measures, even though thousands of new cases are reported every day. And zoos and safari parks can reopen in England from June the 15th in the latest easing of the coronavirus lockdown here.
George Floyd, his death in police custody caused global outrage. His impassioned pleas for racial justice.
Until we know the price for black life is the same as the price for white life, we're going to keep coming back to these situations over and over again.
Many of the largest protests against racism have been in the American capital. We speak to the mayor of Washington, D.C. about her relationship with the White House.
They recognize that I am going to defend Washington, D.C., that we think that their actions were just egregious.
President Trump provokes more criticism by accusing an elderly protester injured by the police of being an extremist provocateur. Demonstrators demand the removal of a statue of Cecil Rhodes, one of the most controversial figures in the story of the British Empire. The US Secretary of State has criticised the British bank HSBC, which is very Asia-focused, of giving in to China by backing Beijing's new security law for Hong Kong. Accusing China of browbeating HSBC, Mike Pompeo said the bank's experience was a cautionary tale that showed why countries should avoid economic over-reliance on China. Media reports from China say that pangolins have been removed from the official list of traditional Chinese medicine treatments. All 8 species of pangolin are threatened with extinction because of illegal hunting for their scales and their meat.
10 million people could be on hospital waiting lists by the end of the year because of the coronavirus impact. A stark warning from NHS leaders in England.
Another slave trader's image removed as the debate over controversial statues intensifies. Labour councils are to review public monuments with links to the colonial past.
Calls for racial justice at the funeral of George Floyd, whose killing in police custody sparked the wave of international protests.
The long queue for a refund. Virgin Holidays tells Breakfast its customers will get their money back in full. It could take up to 4 months, as thousands of holidaymakers are still owed cash.
The threat of football clubs going bust hasn't gone away. That is the stark warning from the English Football League. As the 3rd and 4th tier vote to end their seasons, they admit some might not survive the coming months.
We should have a look at the papers this morning. And the image of the front page of The Times shows a statue of the slave trader Robert Milligan being removed from outside the Museum of London Docklands yesterday. The paper says it is one of many which face being pulled down after 130 Labour councils said they would assess the appropriateness of monuments in England and Wales.
The lost generation is the Daily Mirror's headline, as it declares the government is in chaos over its plans for the full reopening of schools in England. The paper says almost 9 million children will not return to school until at least September.
The Guardian reports that almost 10 million people could be waiting for hospital treatment by Christmas following disruption to services caused by coronavirus. We're covering that this morning here on Breakfast. And the picture is of George Floyd's sisters during his funeral service in Houston in Texas last night.
The Daily Telegraph claims school children under the age of 15 are more likely to be hit by lightning than die from coronavirus, according to research by scientists at the universities of Oxford and Cambridge. The paper also marks the Duke of Edinburgh's 99th birthday, as we mentioned, with the new portrait of him and the Queen. PE today, by the way, Louise.
Is it PE? Oh, yeah. I could do that. I'd be really good at that.
I'll draft you in as a PE teacher.
Yeah. I'm not allowed to, of course.
I know.
I could do a Zoom PE if you want Zoom PE.
All right, Zoom PE, let's do it. What time are you available? 2 o'clock?
Oh, goodness me. I could probably help with Spanish as well. That's probably about it, though.
Okay.
Should we have a quick look at
you.
only up to a certain level.
OK, P at 2,
I can
Spanish
do it to
at 3.
GCSE level. That's it.